there has been a lot of impressive developments, but at the same time, there are issues and there's a lot of concealment of great imbalances and inequalities, which still exist. They exist in the distribution of world's wealth, the burden on women who still do 2/3 of the world's work and receive 1/10 of the world's income and only own 1/100th of the world property. So International Women's Day means different things to different people. And to me, it's an opportunity to reflect on the inspiring women who've influenced, mentored, and made a difference in my life to date. And our notice board in the social area here in the school over the last couple of days is a treasure to read, as members of the school community here have all posted the women that they salute and who have inspired us. As a Kesh school and a presentation school, Nan O'Nagle is well known to all of us as a woman who inspired countless women for centuries and who has made a massive difference to women's lives with the provision of what she very clearly recognised as the greatest pathway to freedom, to a life of opportunity, and that is education. I count myself very lucky to have attended presentation school from junior infants to the completion of my Leaving Cert. And looking back now, I realise that during my time in school, I was afforded so many opportunities to develop the strengths that I have. The ethos of presentation school taught me to believe in the world of opportunity, in which commitment, hard work and belief in education can bring. So many of my classmates, and we have past pupils with us as well today, have often remarked how much support and encouragement that we received during our time in school, where Nan O'Nagle's vision became a reality for us. So broadening one's mind is a gift, and it's one we don't take for granted. And today, unfortunately, we are aware that there are many young girls especially who have not got the opportunity to learn and to be educated that we have, and who need someone to carry the lantern, to light the way, to be the beacon who paves the path for freedom for them into a world of opportunity. In the past few days, we have all been watching harrowing scenes on our TVs, and the saddest of pictures of women and children who have been displaced from their homes, their families, and their own country. Innocent, kind, ordinary people who simply want to live their lives. Today we stand in solidarity with them, and we pray for a resolution to the conflict in Ukraine. So I'm delighted to introduce to you now some really inspiring presentations for the next 30 minutes or so. And I want to thank those who have accepted the invitation to be with us on this occasion. I welcome Rhona Tarrant and Máire Logue to our gathering this afternoon. We are really, really thrilled that you are with us as past pupils of our school, and we look forward to your contribution in this meeting today. So, first of all, I welcome Rhona. Rhona, a past pupil, you worked for a while as a reporter with RTE Radio 1, and now you have the wonderful job as senior editor with Storyful, a social media and news intelligence agency that looks at footage emerging from breaking news stories for newsrooms. We're really looking forward to hearing your contribution to International Women's Day to inspire all of us here in this school. As you speak to us about your interesting career path, I welcome you, Rhona, and now I invite Miss O'Loughlin to have a chat with you for a few minutes.
Hello, Rhona. How are you keeping?
I'm great.
That's brilliant. So firstly, I said I'd ask you a quick question about your time here in Presentation Listowel. As you were a past pupil, what are your fond memories of your time here in the convent?
Yeah, I was actually just thinking, I did my Leaving Cert about 14 years ago, which I didn't realise. It goes extremely fast. So I would say I have really, really good memories of secondary school. And I think the older I get, the more I appreciate kind of the things that I learned there. I think my best years were probably transition year, 5th and 6th year, because I feel like when I started out in secondary school, I was quite young and I kind of didn't really know what I wanted to do or who I was. And being at the school kind of helped me to like figure out what I was good at. remember in my junior cert, I got an A in English, and that was the first time I realized that I was good at English. And after that, then in transition year, I kind of developed that, and that actually really inspired me to go into journalism. And the other thing I think I take away from the school was there was a real ethos of hard work. And the one thing I'd say in my career and everything that I've kind of done is like, I was never, naturally the best person in it, in RTE or wherever I went, but I always worked extremely hard. And that was kind of something that was drilled into us. It was, that you can't just stroll in and turn up and hope that everything works out for you, that you really have to put in the hard yards, which is what I learned at the school as well. So I don't know, it sounds like I was a model student. I really wasn't. Like, I was definitely testing people's patience at times, but I think ultimately it was a really good experience. And I think just the kind of, there was a lot of opportunity there. And also people might know my dad was a teacher at the school, which was totally awkward, but it was great too. So there was a lot of opportunity for girls sport as well when I was growing up, which was fantastic. But also if you're interested in anything creative as well, which was kind of more the stuff that I was into. So really good memories, and I definitely think it served me well in my career.
Definitely has, and you've gotten some career for yourself, so you've worked so hard, which is amazing, and so we're so proud to have you as a past pupil. So as well as that, just so to inform our girls, can you tell us a little bit about your work and your job and kind of what you do for the girls?
Yeah, so just to where I started out in radio. So when I was in college in UL, I started volunteering at a local radio station, Live 95 FM, and then also college radio. And from there, then I went and I had my own show at Radio Kerry, and I was probably one of their worst ever presenters. But anyway, they gave me a job. And I also worked as a reporter for RTE Radio 1. So I mainly worked in kind of features, history, business. I was a radio reporter on RTE. And then I moved to New York and I worked in radio in New York. And then I moved back home and I started working in politics in RTE. So I worked with Marion Finucane, Sean O'Rourke, Morning Ireland, all the main shows. And that was kind of where I was. And then in 2017, basically journalism industry. So when I started, it was all about newspapers, and it all changed. So I figured if I wanted to have any type of long career in journalism, I had to go learn social media and how to verify stuff on social media. So I went to Storyful. So people don't really know Storyful, but you definitely kind of know the newsrooms that we work with. So essentially what we do is, the way with Ukraine now, there's like footage coming out on social media of planes being shot down and,
Yes.
awful scenes. So we're the people who find the footage on social media and we verify it for newsrooms. So we say, this is authentic, this is real, this is fake, this is a video game, this is a movie, but this video is real. So that's essentially what we do. And that goes out in a newswire to everybody from the New York Times to the Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, CBS, ABC, and they use that footage based on us vetting it. So that's kind of what I do. And then the other thing that my team does here in New York is we track mis and disinformation for social media, or for newsrooms on social media. So this is everything from, we work with the New York Times or Wall Street Journal on how much is medical misinformation a problem on YouTube, for example, or can you tell us all the misinformation that came out about Ukraine and where it is? So that's the other thing that my team does. So it's kind of those two things, and it's very busy obviously at the moment, but we work on everything from Ukraine to anything around the world. Like, we're pretty much 24/7 newsroom.
Amazing. It sounds like you're a journalist, but also like a PI or some sort of guard investigation unit. So it's fascinating. And just to tell us a little bit more about what fueled your passion to become a journalist. Was there something particular that kind of you ignited that passion within you?
Yeah, I think it was when I was in Presentation Listowel, I started to really enjoy English, and I realised that that was kind of something I wanted to pursue. When you find something that you are good at, you generally want to work at it more. So English was really what inspired me. I wanted to be a writer for the Kerry Man. That was my goal. And somehow I've ended up here in New York working at Storyful. So you never know where you're going to end up, but you have to kind of go in a direction. So that was it really. I was interested in writing. I love storytelling. I think Listowel is a great place for storytelling, and you really grow up with an appreciation for a good story. And I'm in America now, and they always say like the Irish are so good at telling stories. Like, we know exactly how to land a punchline, but that's all like the storytelling tradition in North Kerry as well. So that was kind of what fueled my passion. And then as I was going along, I just kind of took every opportunity that I could. I kind of, anything that came along, I'd work on it, whether it was religious current affairs or business or politics. I just kind of tried my hand at it. So that was really it. It was just like finding that passion and kind of finding what I was interested in. You know, I think people kind of sometimes say follow your passion, and you're like, well, I don't have one, but just find something that you're interested in, and that's kind of what served me well.
Amazing. And another kind of quick question for you is just like, you've obviously met some amazing inspirational women in your time in your career so far, and we were just wondering, is there one that you have found particularly inspiring that you could tell us about?
Yeah, I mean, I've met so many inspiring women in career. I think the first one that probably comes to mind is Claire Byrne. She's an RTE presenter. But I worked with her right before I left RTE. I was working on her program on Saturdays, and I really liked her, mainly because she had the qualities of a lot of women that I look up to in my career, and that's she worked extremely hard and she was very involved in her job. So the old model in RTE was, if there was a presenter, is the researchers, producers would do all the work and they would hand them the brief, which would essentially be they'd write out the introduction, write out all their questions, and all the person has to do and come on and talk. That was the old school thing. Claire Byrne is definitely like of the new generation, where she is so involved in everything. She listens to everything, she watches everything, she reads everything, and she's very involved in like, what is the question that everybody wants to hear? When I'm starting my radio show, who is the person I need to ask the question to that people want to hear? So I really like that about her. And I think any woman that I've come across in my career, that's the thing that I really appreciate. It's people who find something that they like, but also work extremely hard at being good at it. And another woman that I admire as well is Katie Hannon, who's obviously from Lixnan, is also a former past pupil. I worked with her as well when she started presenting on Radio 1, and she's another person who I really admired, because she was in TV and she moved over to radio, and that's not an easy transition, but she was someone who was willing to put herself out there and work at it, and I really admired that.
Fab, they're lovely women. And lastly, would you have any advice for our girls on their future endeavours as they kind of choose their career paths and all of that?
First of all, I would say find something that you're interested in and pursue that, because you're more likely to work at something that you're interested in. The job market changes so much that I remember when I was in secondary school, and there were people would come in and tell us that this is a very sure career, and then the recession happened and everything wasn't a very sure career anymore. So just find what you're interested in and follow that interest if you have an interest. And if not, just really try to find out what doesn't feel like work to you, and go that way. The other thing I would say, just very briefly, is just try not to doubt yourself so much. Doubting yourself is completely normal, but in my career I managed both men and women, and I've come up in a male dominated industry, and the one thing I've noticed is that the men do not hold themselves back by questioning themselves all the time, whereas the women kind of feel like they need to prove themselves all the time. That's fine, it makes you work harder, it gives you an edge because you will work harder, but the other thing is you'll hold yourself back from opportunities. So just realize that a lot of people are bluffing. You're as good as everybody else, so just try not to let your own lack of self-confidence hold you back. I didn't have a lot of confidence, and it kind of grew over time. So that's kind of the key thing, those two things: follow what you're interested in, and try not to waste so much time doubting yourself, because at the end of the day it's pointless and it only negatively affects you.
Amazing, thank you.
You're welcome.
Katrina, I think you're talking, but your mic is muted.
Thank you very much. Thanks again, Miss O'Loughlin and Rhona. Thank you very much. There were some really good nuggets of advice there for our students, and your success is our success. And we congratulate you on all the success and wish you the very best in the future. We will follow you with great interest. We're very proud of you.
Thanks so much. And just to apologize, I have to jump off because we have another International Women's Day event here. So just thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Such an honour, and I really appreciate it.
Thanks. We understand it's a very busy day for you, and on that, sincere appreciation for making the time for all of us here in Presentation Listowel. Thank you, Rhona.
Thanks so much. Next week. Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we have a little musical interlude from Sophie and Karen, and they're going to sing a very appropriate song for the day that's in it.
She's just a girl, she's on fire. I've been fantasy, floating like a highway. She's living a wild and it's on fire. Feel a catastrophe, but you know she can fly away. Oh, is on fire. This girl is on fire. She's walking on fire. This girl is on fire. Looks like a girl, she's a flame. So I bet you can burn your eyes, better look the other way. You can try to not to get her away. She's on top of the world, hottest of the hottest girls say, oh, she got her feet on the ground, and she burning down. Oh, she's got her head in the clouds, and she's not back in town. This girl is on fire. This girl is on fire. She's walking on fire. This girl is on fire. She got 5, 6, 7 flames in her eyes. Watch her, she's lighting up the night. Nobody knows she's a lonely girl. It's a lonely world. Let it burn, baby, burn, baby. This girl is on fire. This girl is on fire. She's walking on fire. This girl is on fire. This girl is on fire.
Excellent. Well done, girls. Thank you so much. So now Miss O'Loughlin is going to speak with Máire. And Máire, as we said already, another past pupil. Máire is our Artistic Director of St. John's Theatre, John's Arts and Theatre and Arts Centre in the Square in Listowel, a familiar face to us, Máire. Previously, Máire worked with Listowel Writers Week, and she helped build the festival into one of the most recognisable national book festivals in the country, bringing international well-known writers such as Seamus Heaney, Graham Norton, Jennifer Johnston, and even actor Gabriel Byrne to Listowel, to name but a few. Máire is a Listowel woman through and through. She loves her town and is very proud of it, and very proud to be a past pupil of this school as well. So we look forward now, Máire, to hearing your thoughts for International Women's Day.
Hello, Máire. You'll just have to unmute yourself there, I'd say.
I didn't even realise I was muted. Sorry, and I was cheering Rhona on away.
I know.
Where are you all?
We're all great, thank God. And like that now, as a past pupil, once again, we're asking you the nitty-gritty question first. So what are your memories of your time here in Pres Listowel?
Well, I have to let you into a secret and tell you that I only did 1 year in Presentation Listowel. So I was a Loreto girl, and I came back to repeat my Leaving Cert in Listowel, and it was a great year. There are two things I remember. One is we went on strike, and it was one of the greatest days in school, and all the schools went on strike, and we met down at the Listowel Arms and outside the Listowel Arms, and it was a great day. And I remember having the best maths teacher I ever had in Presentation in Listowel. Knew nothing about maths until I arrived in Presentation in Listowel, and I had a fantastic teacher, and having to redo Dear Agus Grania. So not like wasn't in Leaving Cert 14 years ago. I did my Leaving Cert in 86, I think. So that's quite a long time ago. So yeah, great memories, great school, really sturdy, really, you know, just really down to earth, I think, no notions, and that's what I liked about it.
Fabulous. That's actually great. I'm laughing here at your strike. That sounds like a great day out for the students.
It was a great day out, and we made banners and everything. I have no idea why there was a strike, but I know it was a strike, and it was when all the pupils went on strike as opposed to the teachers going on strike.
Oh, fabulous. So they're the best kind, aren't they?
Yeah.
So community me, obviously I've watched your work loads. I've been to many of the Listowel Writer Week festival activities, especially Book Fest. So can you tell the girls about your job and kind of what fueled your desire to be part of that career?
So I'm currently the artistic director down in St. John's, and I joined there in 2019. So I was only in there a short few months before the pandemic set in. And previous to that, I was in Writers' Week for about 17 years, and I really just fell into that job purely by accident. I was working for Vodafone in Dublin, and we had moved down as a family. And I wasn't really looking for a new job. And then a friend of mine just said, would you come in and give a dig out to Writers' Week? They just need a pair of hands. And I was good at organising. I had done a lot of event management. I'd worked as, for a lot of chief executives of companies in London, and the same when I came back in Vodafone. So I said, no problem. And I stayed for 17 years. And that's how it happened, really. And so, yeah, the festival was, so when I joined it, it was quite a small niche festival, but we changed. And as we changed, there was people like Joanna Keane, who one of your past pupils became chairman, and she had great ambitions for the festival. So we started and we built on her ambitions and making the festival less literary and more of the people. And I think we've achieved that down through the years. And it's just a fantastic festival. And then the job came up at St. John's Theatre, and I got a number of calls from people saying you should go for this job. And I was like, not a notion of it. Not a notion of it. And then I got a notion about it, and I decided, sure, I've nothing to lose. Jobs like St. John's Theatre would never come up very regularly, and I knew that the next person to go in there, I knew it was something I could probably do, but it scared the life out of me. But I know that the next person to go in there, that position would not arise again in my time of employment. So I went for it and I got the job. And as I say, so I started in September, and then we had the pandemic in March. So it's been a real time of change for St. John's, and in some ways the pandemic has given me an opportunity to go into the theatre myself and make it what I want to do it, and kind of slightly shift around on the way we do things. So even though we are a 130-seater theatre that puts on loads of shows, there is so much more that we now do in the theatre, in that we work with artists, we give them a venue to come down and write and to work within our space. We have children coming in, we have youth theatre and things like that. So it's been great, and I love it. I love the job, and it's very varied. We had 55 women in this morning for International Women's Day, celebrating, reading poetry, reading their own original pieces. And we've got another event tonight with some renowned, storyteller from Listowel, and a poet and an essayist, and 2 musicians from Dingle. And again, we will celebrate that. So that's my kind of work,
It sounds such a beautiful line of work. You must just really enjoy every day at work. Like, having gone to a few events there, even recently I went to a spoken word post there, Sasha, and it was amazing.
Adults.
Yeah, such an amazing venue, and there's a lovely vibe in there. So it must be just a pleasure really to work there.
It is. Every time I turn the key in the morning, I go, oh my word, I am looking after this building, and it is like, it's been there for 200 years. And I get to look after it, and I get to kind of decide I've developed a lovely little team. We're small, we're niche, we all work together, we all do everything together, and it's just brilliant. And you just walk in and you see the stained glass window of faith, hope and charity, and we call them our 3 girls, and they're there and they meet us every morning when we go in, and it's wonderful. And we will expand, and we will continue to change, we will continue to do great things in the theatre. And we also try to work outside the theatre. So we're trying to, last year we used things like the ball alley for events, and we used the town park, and we put up tents and things like that. So we're trying to come out of our space as well and do things for all our communities.
Oh, it just sounds amazing. And I know for one that I actually love the building, so I can't wait to see it even grow and prosper. So could you wouldn't mind telling us as well, obviously you've met so many inspirational women over the course of your career. So even to narrow it down, you probably might find it hard, but is there one or two that you found particularly inspiring?
You know what? There isn't. I was thinking about this question when you sent it to me this morning, and then I was thinking about it when Rhona was talking. And for me, inspirational women are, I find that women in my area, I find people like Rhona are inspirational. I find the people in Listowel are inspirational. So the women who are in the tidy towns, the artists who make work and things like that. So I love women locally who do artistic things, and I just love really strong women from Listowel. So those would be my people. And I love also the women of the war, so the people like the Cumann na Mán and things like that. So Markovich, those kind of really strong women who went out and did for their country and did for their people or did for their towns. Those are the ones that stand out to me, as opposed to presidents or kind of pop stars or things like that. So
it's so hard as well. It's such a loaded question. Like, I even found when I was looking at it myself, I was like, I'm inspired every day, and I can just
I feel the same way. Yeah, exactly. There's this girl, we have this girl called Carrie Jade Williams, and she arrived in our theatre in January to do a writing residency. And she's just unbelievable. She's got Huntington's disease, and what she doesn't know about neurodiversity and accessibility and all that kind of thing. And so she's been coming to us ever since and helping us. And she did some work with us this morning, and she's reading tonight an essay. And you just she is just so inspirational. She's just brilliant. And there's just get up and go,
Yeah, it's fabulous. And lastly, just have you any kind of advice for our girls and their future endeavours and kind of their careers and all that?
So I suppose I would have been one of those students that, really school was just a matter for me to go somewhere between 9 and 4 every day, really. And I wasn't, I was like more the student of life, really, person. And that's okay too. And that's what I would be saying to you, is don't follow everybody. If everybody is doing pharmacy and it doesn't have an interest to you, but people think it's great, don't follow the sheep, and if there's a feeling in you to do something outside of the norm, go for it. And talk to people, because there's so much more opportunity now than there was when I was leaving school. You know what I mean? These artistics, apprenticeships, you hear everybody talking about apprenticeships now, and I just think there's a role for everybody. Follow your dream. And I would be saying that disappointments are hard to take, but disappointments are also very positive, because when one door closes, another door will always open if you want it to open. And that's the way I work. I would be disappointed if somebody couldn't come, but then, so I know something will come in its place. So there will always be something for you. Don't sweat the small things, and work hard, and be yourself, and be proud of Listowel, because I just think it's a great town, and it's great to say you come from Listowel, and I just think you'll carry that through your lives.
Thank you so much for that.
No problem. No
Thank
problem.
you very much, Maura. Again, a great boost for all of us to be proud of our town, proud of our school.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We're really appreciate you taking the time. Maura, maybe you can stay on with us, because we have, if you're free, we your company. I'll hand over now to Miss Brosnan, who will introduce us to some of our staff and our students who have participated in our Women in Profile invitation that we offer during the week.
Perfect. Thanks, Ms. Broderick. Good afternoon, everyone. So now I'd like to invite some of our teachers and students to speak to you about some of the women whom they admire. First of all, we'll go to Ms. Daly, who's going to speak to you about her friend, Kathleen O'Leary.
Thank you. Kathleen O'Leary was the first wheelchair user to graduate from St. Patrick's College, Maynooth. In 1981, she approached Mr. Tom Ash, a native of Listowel and principal of Maynooth Post-Primary School, for a teaching position as a HDIP student. During the interview, he asked her straight out, "Do you think you'll be able to teach? Will you be able to control a class?" To which she replied, "We will never know if I am not given the chance." She was given the chance and became an outstanding teacher who had that wonderful gift of connecting with all students and bringing the best out of them, the sign of a real teacher. Her faith was not a collection of prohibitions emphasizing the good news, but a way of giving richness and meaning to life. God for her, in the words of Patrick Kavanagh, was in the bits and pieces of every day. Kathleen sadly passed away in January 2014. Each year, a small number of TY students attending Maynooth Post-Primary School are awarded the Kathleen O'Leary Spirit of TY Awards in recognition of exemplary attitude, work ethic, generosity of spirit and cooperation in TY. Her great legacy lives on. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Ms. Daly. Next we go to Eve Lennon of second year, who's going to speak to us today about Marie Curie.
The person who I admire and inspires me is Marie Curie. Marie Curie was a Polish and naturalized French physicist and chemist who conducted pioneering research on radioactivity. Marie was born on November 7, 1867 in Warsaw, Poland. She was the youngest of 5 children in her family. I feel sorry for Marie as she was financially restricted growing up and had little or no proper education. Instead, her father and mother, both working in the educational field, ensured that the girls were as educated as well as their son. Her dad taught them maths and science, which sparked Marie's curiosity for science and maths. Marie was never in it for the money, as she only did her research in her own homemade makeshift lab. This showed me how selfless and grateful Marie was to be even given an opportunity to uncover and discover new elements in the new field of science. After years of research, with the help of her husband Pierre, Marie made a scientific discovery of 2 new elements which she called radium and polonium. Those showed to me how insightful and intelligent Marie was to be able to discover 2 brand new elements with little or no help or expensive lab equipment. The downside was the radioactivity from the radioactive elements was slowly seeping into Marie's system and poisoning her from the inside out. Marie's hands became cracked open and her skin and organs deteriorated. Marie donated her body to science to prove that the impossible was in fact possible and helped us gather knowledge in the chemical field of science. She never took power and misused or abused it, but used it for the greater good. Marie states that she never wanted the money nor the awards, but to spark young girls' interest to pursue science. I love Marie for that motto, and it showed to me that women can do anything that men can, if not better.
Thanks very much, Eve. Next we'll go to Miss Walsh, who's going to speak to us today about Adie Roach.
Adie Roach's involvement with Chernobyl began in 1986 in the aftermath of the accident. 5 years later, she read a fax that would change her life and that of thousands of children. Written by Belarusian and Ukrainian doctors, the fax appealed to the world at large to take damaged children away from Chernobyl's radioactive environment so that their bodies had a chance to recover. Adie immediately set about recruiting Irish families to offer rest and recuperation, holidays to a small number of children to give them a chance to relax and detoxify in a healthy and loving environment. 30 years on, Irish families have given sanctuary to more than 25,000 children from the affected area. The respite helps reduce the children's contamination levels by up to 50% and extends their life expectancy by 2 years on average. Adie Roach founded the Chernobyl Children's Project International in 1991 and has worked tirelessly over the next 25 years to provide humanitarian aid to the forgotten children of Belarus, Western Russia and Ukraine. The organisation was renamed Chernobyl Children International, CCI, in 2010. Under Adie's leadership, CCI has initiated a number of aid programmes and delivered direct and indirect medical and humanitarian aid worth over 100 million to the areas most affected by the nuclear disaster. In 2004, the United Nations bestowed official NGO status on CCI. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Walsh. Now we go to 6th year student Sarah Lynch, who will talk to us today about her grandmother, Mrs. Eileen O'Connor. Over to you, Sarah.
For me, there is no gem, no diamond greater than you, my grandmother. This year, life has crushed you. You have suffered multiple battles. Misplaced glasses, dents in your body, distance from loved ones. However, you have been a glistening star that has shone brightly for me. You have shown me on countless occasions that one can survive and learn how to thrive, even from the deepest of trenches, how to locate the good in life and have heartfelt gratitude for it. I admire you, my grandmother, a master craftswoman with wool. Give her a few moments and she'd have some intricate clothing made, all without so much as a glance at her rapidly moving fingers. A woman full of these intricate connections. Perched there in your chair, you observe the passers-by and ensure each one is adequately fed, warm, and ready for their next outing. Your kindness multiplies my admiration for you, someone who is willing to take the first step in faith without the need to see the whole staircase, and your ability to climb the staircase with grace and generosity is one that depicts no bounds. I admire your presence. As I watch you, your face entranced, the morning light reflects off your minimally wrinkled skin and your eyes that belie your 70 years. Your laughter lines from your gift of smiling so easily. Your joyous, jubilant personality is all there is to read in those creases. A woman who has endeavoured on quite arduous tasks, feeding, milking, calving, caring for the cows in your day. The same can be said for your 4 children you have raised. Equally, I can extend this remark to my sisters and I. You are our nurturer, the one we can turn to amidst our continuous battles, as we can count on your bounded and deep-rooted love. The highly anticipated Pancake Tuesday is one of our highlights at your house, filling our stomachs with luscious crepes topped with sugar, honey and Nutella, everyone's dream that you make a reality. I admire your house because it is not just a house, it is a home associated with care, compassion, chats, love and family, all centred from your heart. The intertwined radiance of fun is one that comes to the forefront upon entering your inviting doorstep. This fun is guided by you. In the heaviest of storms, the greatest of crises, even the smallest hiccup, you are the navigator to ensure we escalate over these challenges. Unequivocally, in the storms of parenthood, you are the anchor my parents needed, the wise word, the steady hand that kept our family ship sailing into calm waters. Our nightly phone calls, the ones in which I spill out my guts to you, are the ones I will always cherish. Thankfully, you skillfully interpret my problems and counsel my worrying mind. Your medicine is better than any prescription a doctor can give. Apart from your glorious, picturesque garden in reality that is admired by a plethora of visitors, I adore the flowering garden of love that is sprouting from your adorning heart, flourishing each and every person you encounter. I, for one, believe that between this earth and sky, nothing can match the love and admiration I have for you. As Michelle Obama once said, there is no limit to what we as women can accomplish, and I wholeheartedly agree that your life is a portrait of the powers, the strengths, and the love we can accomplish together as women.
Thank you, Sarah, for that. Next, we go to Miss Dowling, who's going to talk to us today about her aunt, Deborah Lynch. Over to you, Sarah.
Excuse me. Deborah Lynch, 1933 to 2015. Nowadays, when we talk about immigration, we talk about it as a choice that people make to live in foreign lands. But for many in Ireland, over in past generations, immigration was not a choice. It was a necessity for survival. Due to poverty and unemployment, and in famine times, hunger. Deborah was born in County Kerry in 1933, and she immigrated to New Jersey in the United States. She was one of 13 children, 7 of whom immigrated, and while they visited Ireland, they never returned to live in Ireland again. In 1960, she became a registered nurse, and she completed a master's in psychiatric nursing, which would have been quite unusual at the time for a woman, and definitely for an Irish woman in foreign soil. I admire Deborah's commitment to supporting mental health issues, and she became a director of psychiatric nursing in 2 hospitals, Barnard Hospital and Chiltern Memorial Hospital in the United States. Deborah's life reflects admirable qualities such as commitment, hard work, great sense of humour, her faith, and an incredible understanding of others' emotions. But most of all, she never forgot those at home, and she was deeply committed to supporting family at home in their college education, in apprenticeships, and in life in general. Deborah loved Ireland, and she was heartbroken for many, many years when she left. However, she never lost her sense of humour or her positive outlook on life. She is laid to rest in Irish soil, and that was in 2015. As was said, Deborah was my aunt, my mother's sister, and on International Women's Day, I am honouring her as a woman who I admire greatly and who was a tremendous inspiration to me and support throughout my whole life. I am also honouring all the brave Kerry women who had little choice but to leave all that was familiar to them, to those they loved, and to immigrate to countries around the globe. So thank you.
Thanks very much, Ms. Dowling, and thanks to everybody for their wonderful and heartfelt contributions today, and to all those who contributed to our display in the social area as well. So back to you, Ms. Broderick.
Thanks, Ms. Brosnan. And now I'd like to introduce to you Hannah O'Connor. Hannah is a Leaving Cert student here in the school and herself a wonderful poet. And today she has chosen a poem which she would like to read for us. Thank you, Hannah.
As you all know, today is International Women's Day, a day for appreciation and celebration of the greatness and resilience within each of us. In honour of this, we dedicate the poem Hope is the Thing with Feathers by Emily Dickinson to all women currently in Ukraine. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hannah. And as we draw our wonderful event to celebrate International Women's Day to a close, I'm delighted to introduce to you now a surprise guest, Minister Norma Foley, who has recorded a special message for all of us in Presentation in Listowel for today.
Today, on International Women's Day, we take a moment not just to celebrate women, but also to say thank you. Thank you to women all over the country who have done and continue to do so much for all of society. Thank you to all who work on the front line of our health services, carers, businesswomen, bus drivers, postwomen, shop assistants. The list is infinite. As Minister for Education, I particularly wish to acknowledge mothers, grandmothers and guardians who, throughout COVID-19, homeschooled and grappled with seesaw while continuing to work remotely with young children. As Minister too, I would also like to celebrate and salute the women in our school communities, our staff and our students. Today, we celebrate your giftedness. Today, we remember too, in a very particular way, the women of Ukraine, and we stand in solidarity and support with them in this, their darkest hour. Today, we also celebrate the women who inspire us. You, as Pres girls, need look no further than your foundress, Nan O'Neill. Now there was a woman of courage and conviction. A woman who believed steadfastly in the transformative power of education, most especially for girls. You who are Pres girls carry with you both the gift and responsibility of her legacy. Long may you continue to keep alight her thirst for justice, equality and inclusion. Long may you, like Nano, be prepared to go one step beyond, for there should never be limits on our dreams, aspirations and achievements.
We bring our celebration for International Women's Day to a close, and I will forward it to all of your teachers and to those who have joined us afterwards. We're very grateful that Minister Norma Foley went to the effort of preparing this short video to address all of us today for our celebration. So once again, thank you all for your participation. Thank you for your time and your willingness to be with us. Thanks to our special guest speakers, Maura and Rhona, and thanks to our staff members and our students who were willing to read their pieces for us today, which were so touching as well. And of course, our musicians who kept us well entertained there for the last couple of minutes. But behind all of these events, it takes a committee to bring it all together, to plan it and to organise it. So a sincere thanks to Miss O'Loughlin, to Miss Brosnan, to Miss Burke and to Miss Lannan. Always for your help and support, but for creating such a wonderful event to mark and make this a special day for all of us in Presentation Listowel. So goodbye everyone and thank you.
Thanks, bye.